Parsons. I'm a guitar maker here in Ventura, California, and welcome to my studio. Several reasons. Quality of life. I think I was in a place in my career where I can decide, where home base was going to be. I've been in Seattle all my life, and Seattle as a guitar maker for the last 20 years, and it just got cold. So came down here, found a great spot. Ventura, great big building right on the beach, and hopefully it's not too beautiful to live. We can make it work and be here for a while. Yeah, like so many things and so many people, you have this idea of what you want to be when you grow up, and it usually has to do with some type of childhood fantasy, whether it's a famous baseball player or a rock star or whatever. My thing was a rock star. But as I grew older, I realized that was probably not going to happen. I saw making guitar as a way to actually kind of stay involved with the guitar, the thing I loved. So decided to do that, and it's been wonderful. I mean, it's been a real... It was more than something I decided to do. I mean, it was in my heart, because when I decided to become a guitar maker and shock everyone in my life, it was just like pedal to the metal, full on, and it's been that way for 20 years. It's just been an obsession, something I just love, and I've been getting into and trying to reinvent the wheel and do some really creative things in the industry and get noticed. And so far it's worked. You notice I join these right down the middle, which is tradition. It's called a two-piece, but I really make sure, I'm very conscious of my bass side, that I have really nice parallel grain with no knots. And what that does is it allows the whole piece from here to resonate on the bass side, but at the same time on the treble side, you'll see I'll have a knot. It's a true story. It's one that makes me chuckle. I was actually married to an artist. I had a great job with the city and the benefits and the dental care and the short haircut. And I had a wife who was an artist, and that's what she did for a living. And at first I was pretty mesmerized that someone could do something like that as a living, kind of just invent their own reality and their own presence in the world and make their way. And it motivated me to actually take the same path. And so I did quit my job, and I started guitar making. I started a little business that repaired instruments and got clients from there. It's shocking that it's been 20 years, but it just kind of happens like anything else. We're kind of building a classic American style, Telecaster based on that format. Traditionally, swamp ash, alder, even really cheap stuff like poplar is used for the production of these types of guitars. Very cheap wood, but has a certain tonal characteristics that people like. The cedar, usually used for like high-end violins, cellos, acoustic instruments. It's expensive, so I don't mind. I put a little bit more money into the wood, but the tone, you can just feel the squeak, I mean, it's... Now, if I held up a regular piece of wood, it would just be dead, but touch it. Just kind of... And that's what you call instrument-grade wood. It speaks, it squeaks, it makes noise. So let's take like the American Fender Telecaster, which is made out of a alder or a swamp ash. And I'm like, what can we do here? Let's just take this format. Let's make this body out of cedar, but then let's also think about how that cedar reacts to frequencies. Low frequencies need more room for vibration. Higher frequencies need that tighter area. So I thought, what if I divide that body in half and use kind of a looser, more resonant chunk on the bass side, so when you tap it, you hear those low frequencies. On the treble side, where your treble strings are, maybe stick a knot in the wood somewhere and really stiffen it up and get those punchy trebles. I thought, would that work? It worked. So I took that idea and I kind of coupled it with my painting technique that I've been working on for many years, which is a hand applied, kind of an old rubbed down type of finish that doesn't require the spray booth, and it doesn't choke the tone of the wood. And I think just looks wonderful especially backdropped in Southern California with all the throwback colors of the surfboards and the cars. I won't tell you what the secret is, but I built a guitar for Jack White, and it was for the movie It Might Get Loud. The guitar, it's pretty famous. It was called The Green Machine. Hey, what's up? Get the hell down. It's called The Green Machine, and I don't know if you ever saw the movie, but Jack White, Jimmy Page, The Edge, they did this movie. So I made this guitar for Jack, and it has this microphone that pull it out screaming, and then let go, and it spins back up in the guitar. But he wanted a very special automotive green. And so I went to the automotive paint store, got this automotive green, so we painted. And I have a can of it here. And I was experimenting the other day on this cedar, and it had these amazing goopy properties that it actually, it sunk into the wood and kind of sealed the wood in a weird way. And then when I buffed it out, it had a really cool look. And so that kind of started this whole thing. So a couple of these colors are actually the same colors that were used on Jack White's guitar. So here we go. Of course, I'm not going to show you what I do. I wrote a mission statement 20 years ago, and I rewrote it 5 years ago, and I rechecked it, and it's pretty accurate, and that is, preserve the art of lutherie through product, services, and education. I was, you know, when I started getting into Guitar Maker, I met this guitar maker named Boaz. He was this gypsy world traveler, and he was telling me how the Spanish guitar maker killed themselves because they held on to secrets. He said, you know, he said the Spanish used to have it all. They were the masters in this craft, and now the American guitar makers are taking over. And I said, well, what happened? He said they hold on to their secrets, they don't share. And he said a lot of guitar makers do that, you know, whether it's through ego or whatever. And so I decided, I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I see this art craft dying. It's turned into machines, lasers, and all that stuff, which is great. But the art of lutherie is in jeopardy. So what I do here is I run classes, I make products that people can take apart and tweak and build their own stuff, and I build really cool guitars that inspire. And so my mission statement 20 years ago and 2 years ago hasn't changed, and that really is to promote this art. I think every failure and every mistake along the way has molded me and my creations, my products to where they are now. So I think without failures in the past, you're never going to get to that one place. I think that's always been my characteristic, is not to be afraid of failing and looking bad. And it's like that with anything. Like if you're going to build a website, you just have to put information down. You have to write words, and they can be stupid and people can read them and go, you're an idiot. But you got to start, and then you go back and you clean it all up. My career as a guitar maker is no different than a career in anything else. I was not born knowing how to do this. It's that journey you go on, and you make the mistakes and you make those regrets, and they form who you are.